Tell me about your first boss.
Well, growing up, we were as close to dirt poor as you could get. Even though my parents never discussed our financial situation with us, we always felt the sense that a roof over our heads, food on the table, and clothes on our backs was about as far as it went. As the youngest, I felt anything I could do to help out and have a little spending money was basically do anything I could help. Shoveling snow, cutting lawns, running errands, and even helping some of the ladies with housework became the norm. Just letting the neighbors know that if they needed help, I would always be available. Uncle Phil had a paper route at the time, and eventually he wanted to give it up, so I inherited the route. Back then, the T&G had a morning, evening, Sunday schedule. I took the afternoon section. Trucks would drop off bundles of paper on the corner, and they would have to be rolled and folded so you could throw them. Papers were then loaded into a cart that I had to push and then deliver the papers to the neighbors. Rain, shine, or cold, snow, had to get up at 5 a.m. on Sunday and repeat this excerpt on Sunday paper. It was so big it couldn't be folded, so you had to carry each one, usually up 3 flights of stairs. And the Eagle flew on Friday, so you had to collect the money and keep an accurate record about people with tip you. I kept that route for a few years and then gave it up. When I was about 5 or 6, the family moved to the 3rd floor building at the corner of Jakes Ave and Dale Street to 110 Chandler, which was maybe 50 yards away. As we were moving out of an Albanian family, the Boyatis moved into our apartment. The father, Tom, was a wonderful man, and we had a lifelong relationship. When I was a freshman in high school, Tom was the chef at the Broadway. He made me an offer for the summer, working the counter. Back then, the Broadway was a full-service restaurant serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Tom made them famous for the great specials they had. In addition, they had a bakery, and that was amazing, and they made their own ice cream. The Broadway owner was a crazy Jew named Sender Halpern. He was a character out of a movie, always screaming and yelling, accusing everyone of taking advantage of him and so on. One night I'd been there for a few weeks, an elderly man came in and ordered a hot fudge sundae. So I did the best I could, ice cream and not being my strong suit. Just as the old man was to dip his spoon, Sender came around the corner and snatched the sundae away, started screaming at me that I was screwing him, making a sundae so huge he was losing money. The next thing he said to me was, "Take it in the back and you eat it." And a lesson not to make sundaes so big so nobody could finish it. Bad move on his part. At least once every 3 weeks or so, I noticed Sender lurking around, and I'd make a gigantic sundae, and he'd come back and do the same thing and make me go back and eat it. I was getting chunky. Not for the first time I gained 40 pounds. I think that was about 2 years and had a great time enjoying the hell out of Sender's antics. Tom went open his own catering business and I helped him out when I could. I always remember that when I had Park Ave, Tom would come in and we would visit and reminisce. I had just sponsored a softball team and had some flags printed up with the Albanian flag and pass on it. I gave one to Tom and told me he was going to Albania to visit and asked me for a couple more. So I gave him 6 and thanked me and he left. A week later his son called me and told me that Tom had died in Albania at his boyhood home. He had my hat on.
Mm.